Okay, guys, well, we're back at it again, and today we have a bit more of an interesting project to do. I'm not an old guy, but let's just say I'm not a young guy either. And bottom line is this riding position with the really low handlebars, at least they're low to me. I believe these are the British Spec ones, although I'm not absolutely certain about that. Bottom line, they're kind of low for me. I'm not sure if you can really see that, and I have to lean forward, pretty considerably to actually ride the bike, which is fine. It's but for more than an hour or so, it isn't exactly ideal. And I've heard from a lot of guys, and including on other YouTube channels, that the higher bars are actually really comfortable. In fact, actually, I don't know if some of the videos I really like watching are by a gentleman that does them out of the UK. His channel name is Songs from the Saddle, as I recall, and he's got the higher bars on his bike and really seems to enjoy them. So I think that I am going to go and replace those. In fact, I am going to replace them. And in fact, the parts have arrived. So that's what we're going to do in this video is we're actually going to replace these low handlebars with some that are higher. So let's just kind of wander over here and I'll show you all the goodies that I've got here. So this is the new set of bars that I've got. So that's going to be the new ones. And let's just kind of hold that up on the bike. It's going to be a little hard to tell here. I'm filming this with one hand, so we'll see. But I mean, it's going to be, give you some idea. They're significantly different in height from the other ones. So mind, I'm holding it about 2 inches higher than what it should be when it's mounted. But you get the idea. These ones are an 8-inch rise, in case anybody's interested in that. So that's what this one is an 8-inch rise. And then they've got a curl back as well. And of course, to kind of get them the way you want them, then of course you can just kind of angle them down if you want them lower, raise them up if you want them higher, yada yada. So we'll figure all that out when we install them, I guess. So to do the job, I did measure all of my cables on the bike, so all of the various, obviously brake line and obviously all your brakes and clutch, etc. The only one that really is an issue is this clutch cable. So I did order another clutch cable and we've got that over here. So this is the longer clutch cable, so that's good. I also picked up some new grips as well. We got those. And I've also got some new mirrors, which are going to be the ones that go on the end of the handlebars. So they're look pretty darn tiny, but good reviews on these ones, so we'll see if this is going to be good enough or not. Bottom line, we're going to put them on and see how she goes. So anyways, that's what we're up to. So hey, let's get after it. Okay, well, the very first thing we're going to do here is cover the tank up. We may take the tank right off, we'll see, but for now we're just going to cover it right up because we're going to be obviously messing around here with the wrenches and yada yada. We'll just do it like that for now and see if that's good enough. I think it will be. Okay, well, it's, with this job, it's a little bit difficult to know exactly where to start because obviously all of this has got to come off. This has got to come off. The mirrors can stay, I think, but, obviously it's all got to come off. And of course, the handlebars need to come off. So where do you start with it? I think what I'm going to do is to actually loosen these P-clamps first, because even if we take the nuts off on the bottom of these P-clamps, the handlebars are basically going to stay there. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to fall out. I guess we'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong. We're going to find out. But I'm rightly or wrongly, I'm going to do that first. Just take the nuts off the bottom here. Now you can't, I believe, I've never had these off, but I've just looked at it and I believe this is just clamping the handlebars in place. To actually get them off, it's a P-clamp and the bolt goes through the triple tree here, and it's got a nut on the bottom side. So I'm guessing we just take the nut off here, and then this will just come off, and then over on the bench, then we can actually eventually take the P clamps off of these handlebars. I'm guessing. I'm guessing. I don't know. But we're going to discover that ourselves. So rightly or wrongly, we are going to try doing this first. Now, it is a 9/16 nut underneath here. So I am going to start taking this off. And I'm going to fast forward this because, you know, this could take a little bit. Oh, I actually got that pretty loose already. Amazing. Don't think that was supposed to be quite that loose. Maybe it's a good thing we're doing this, eh? Anyways, I will fast forward through taking these nuts off. I'll take the other one off as well, and you'll see. Okay, so I think that would have loosened these off. And sure enough, it did. So they're just sitting in there like I thought, which is great. And they're actually still kind of solid, but the nuts are off. So we're going to be able to lift this off when the time comes. Now we're going to take the rest of this stuff off, and that's next. Okay, guys, well, the first thing we're going to do here is take our clutch cable off. We went to all that effort to get this all set up so nice, and now we're going to take it off. But that's just the way it goes. We have to do that because we have to replace this cable, and obviously it's got to come off the handlebars as well. So we're just going to do that. Oh, I need a wrench for that. Hang on a sec. Okay, we've got our 3/8 inch wrench is what we needed to get this off of here. So let's just do that now. And again, I'm going to fast forward through a bunch of this stuff. You guys don't need to see me do all of this, but we're going to go through really quick, and that way you can, you know, you can watch what you want. Okay, and we'll take the perch off here as well. Okay, now to take the turn signal switch off of here as well. So just got a couple of screws underneath here. As you know, we've had this off before. The we had to completely redo the turn signals on this bike, and this switch was one of the things that was not working. So yeah, so got that all going. Now that enough to come off? No, I guess it's got to come right out. All right, and we're just going to stick those right back in there so we don't lose them. All right, good. So those are off. We've got our clip here as well. These clips are pretty cool. Kind of wish I had a few more of those. I think I've got 2 of them on the bike. I wish I had a couple more, actually. It's pretty cool. Put that into our parts container. Good. Okay, so that's that side done. Now we move over to the right-hand side, and we got to take this off. You know, the brake master cylinder off, take the switch off, take the brake off, yada yada. Okay, let's get after it. Okay, guys. So now that we got the grip off the other handlebar, now what we're going to do is we're going to test fit our P clamps onto the new handlebars. So I guess first things first, let's get this piece of plastic off. Okay, now this one does have knurled spots there. So interesting. Not sure if that matters or not. And we're just I'm gonna try it first without the spacers and just see. Oh, we're definitely gonna need those spacers. So let's just kind of put them there and then slide this over top. See if that's gonna work for us. Ooh, that hurt. I think a Robertson screwdriver is a little bit friendlier for this process. Or actually, you know what? Maybe actually a punch. Let's use a punch instead. And in fact, we'll use a brass punch. Here we go. Let's use a brass punch. That way we're not going to damage anything. That's a good idea. That one's on. Okay, good. So not terribly elegant, but we've got one on there. And we can still move them. So I can still move it where I want it. It's pretty tight, but you know, once you have it on the bike, it's going to be pretty easy to move it around, I think. But we've got that on there, and it's going to be nice and tight. So that is good. I have a feeling they must make these things in different sizes. Maybe I need a different size, but we're going to live with what we got here. I did check, by the way, on which way these P-clamps go on, and this is the way that they were on before, and I checked online, and I've seen a number of other bikes with them on this way as well. So that's the way we're doing it, and that's where it's facing the rider, having this bolt here facing the rider. So that's exactly what we are doing here as well. So, okay, so let's put the other one on. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to go out and I'm going to find myself a little piece of wood to kind of jam in there to hold this thing open. We'll take this off and I will be right back. Okay guys, it's coming along. It's coming along. I did use a bit of a wooden wedge to try to hold it open, and that didn't work out too well. So I'm really just doing it the same way I did the other one. We're just using the brass punch and just carefully, you know, kicking it into place where we want it. And we've just about got it there. This one could use a little bit more. I think that's pretty decent. Not too bad. So let's put our bolt in there. And I'm not doing this up at all. I'm just putting the bolts in there so I don't lose them. Let's go and put it on the bike and see if we've actually got them in the right spot. Let's give that a shot. We'll do a little bit of a test fit. Okay, I want to make sure I've got those P-clamps in about the right spot. So let's just see if they'll go in. And sure enough, they are not in the right spot. We need to move them in a little bit closer. So I'm going to do that now. So it looks like they both need to go this way. They both need to go in a little bit. It's kind of interesting. Let me just grab a tape measure here. Let's see what the distances are. So the distances between the holes here, pretty much bang on 3 inches, and this here is from the middle to the middle is about 3.5. No, is that right? 3.5? No, it's not that much. 3.25. Yeah, 3.25. So we need to move them 1/8 of an inch each that way. Get them centered. So let's take it back over here and do that. So, okay, so we need to move these things over a little bit. You know, it's the thing with having the spacers. They seem to be a little bit wider than the P-clamps, and so it's pretty easy to get it a little bit wrong. Oh, that looks pretty darn close. That looks pretty close. Okay, let's go do a test fit over on the bike. Alrighty, let's see how good our measuring was. If this will fall in there or not. That's pretty close. So which way is it a little bit tight yet? Oh no, I think it's just fine. I think. Is it? It's very close. Oh yeah. Bang on. Bang on. Bang on. There we go. Yeah, it's gonna look something like that. Kind of cool. Awesome. Okay, good. So then the question is, do I have these centered with each other? That's the other question. Do I or don't I? You know, I bet you that the best way to do that is on the bike. I might be a little anal with this and actually measure this with my micrometer, just these. I mean, it's got to be within, you know what? Actually, I think it's pretty damn good. Can you guys see that? Do you see the knurling on each side? Looks the same to me. Looks the same to me. Maybe I'll measure. We'll see. Okay, guys. So now that we've got the alignment all done here for this, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to snug these down a little bit. Where exactly I have these, it's not going to be. We're not going to know until we actually get all the controls on here. But for now, let's just snug those down a little bit, and so that it doesn't move. I don't want these the clamps moving on the handlebars, so that's the point of tightening them down here. Okay, now that we know that that's in a good spot, we know we've got everything centered and everything is where we want it on there. Now we're going to take it off because we need to go and put some washers in there to go and actually snug it down. So, okay, got a few washers on there. I'm going to stick it back in here. This might have been moderately easier if I'd taken the headlamp off, but I don't think I actually need to. I was actually surprised at how easy it was to get this stuff off. So, okay, now we can just snug those up. Okay, so let's put the brake back on here, along with the switches. So we're not going to worry too much about where we get this on the handlebar just right now. We will get it more correct later, but for now we're just going to get the thing on there. Okay, so let's put the throttle on. You've got to have, when you're putting the throttle on, obviously you've got your top piece here as well, but you've got to have the shoulder in such a way that it's actually, against this edge, or at least at the top here, either way. It can't be at the bottom, so it's this shoulder here that I'm talking about here. So let me see if I can turn a little bit. See, that there must be, in this case, is that stop. It's got to be there. If you have it inside here, it's just not going to work. So anyways, let's just slide this on. We'll put our top cap on. And we'll start putting our machine screws in. There we go. Throttle is back on. Yeah, we're obviously going to have to adjust all this stuff. When I do this up finally, we're not going to have this gap here, but you just kind of got to get the stuff on rough to start, and then we'll take it from there. So that is pretty darn good. Pretty happy with that. So the one thing I'm noticing though, and you guys are probably noticing it too, look at this brake cable. It is long enough, but you know what we're going to need to do? We're going to need to slacken this off and pull it down. But if we do that, you know what that means? Then we got to bleed the brakes. But I don't think there's any other way about it. In fact, I kind of think we should do that right now. What do you think? We should. What size is this? It's big. So we may need to make a little bit of a mess here. Let me just grab a little bit of paper. I don't want to get brake fluid everywhere. So we'll try to mitigate it a little bit here. Yeah, let's see what we can do here. Where do I want it? About there maybe? All right. Okay, well, you know what? I think that's it for tonight. I think we're going to leave it now and come back to this tomorrow. So, yeah. Okay, guys. Well, we're back at it, and now we're going to go and throw the clutch perch on. Of course, we have to change out this cable, right? So it just makes sense to me to kind of put this on here to A, get it out of the way so we don't lose it, and also so that we have a place to run, to run our cable to once we get that run. So pretty simple matter just to go and screw this on here. We're not going to worry about fitting it too much at this point. We're just getting stuff on, and we'll undoubtedly, especially after I ride it the first time, undoubtedly move stuff around a little bit. You never know, right? So just kind of getting stuff approximately where it's going to go. Okay guys, so now what we're going to do is take the spring off now. As you recall, we put this spring on here for our clutch lever mod. And if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend it, because boy, did it ever make a big difference for me. Yeah, it's a really simple, pretty much zero cost mod to do. And we're going to put this back on our new cable when we eventually install it on the bike. But for now, I'm just going to unwind this one off of here and save it. Okay, now of course we also need to take our adjuster off, because we're going to use that on the new cable. So we want that off as well. So we're going to set that aside too. Now we'll take a look and see. There probably are some zap straps or whatever else holding this thing on here. But we're going to take the cable off, obviously loosen it down at the clutch, and let's do that next. Okay, let's take that clutch cable off. So there's our clutch cable, and it looks like it's tied on by one zap strap right there. So let's cut that off of there, pull her out. Okay, there's that. Oh, it looks like there's one more up here too. Which we want to get the zap strap. Okay, get that off of there. We can just get that out of our way. And now we just have to take the cable off down here. So I'm going to zoom you in. I'll move the camera and show this process a little bit closer up. So let's do that now. Okay guys, let's take this clutch cable off. So we're going to open this up so that we have a bit of an inspection area there to eventually get the pawl off. Get the cable off by removing the pawl off it. The other thing we need to do is we need to loosen this off as well. So we'll just loosen that right off. And we'll loosen the nut off and then wind it in to give us a bunch of slack. We could also, in this case, because we've got the other end undone, kind of just push the cable down a little bit, but that'll should be completely loose there now. I'm going to move the camera so you can actually look right through this hole. I'll try to get some light on it so you can actually see what I'm doing. So let's do that next. Okay guys, I've tried to set this up so hopefully you've got a good view of it there. So what we're going to try to do is just knock the cable off of the pawl there. I'm initially going to try doing that just with a screwdriver, just by knocking it back this way. Let's see if we can do it. I'll try to take some more tension off of the cable here. And then just move it back like that, past the pawl. And see if we can get that out of there. There we go. Okay, great. So now all we have to do is just unwind. Here, let me just back this off so you can see. Sorry. So now that we've got that off, now all we have to do is just back off our adjuster here at the top and take the whole cable out. So that is essentially the process for getting it off, and that's the same process for getting it back on. So hopefully you can see that there's essentially what there is there. If you couldn't quite see it, there's essentially a fork. Now it's pointing the other way, it's pointing this way, but just because I'm on this side of the bike, it's essentially a fork like this, right? And then the cable comes down, you push it down, you know, into there, and then pull it back and then pull it taut. So that's how we're going to put it back on. And of course the opposite process to get it off, push it down, right, knock it back off of the fork and pull it out. So that's exactly what we did. So hopefully that explanation, most of you I'm sure know exactly this process, but for that rare person out there that doesn't know, hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay guys, so now what we're going to do is we are going to compare our old cable to the new cable. It better be longer or we're in trouble. So let's find out. Let's find out if I ordered the right one or not. Okay. Let's see what we got going here. So there's our old one and there is our new one, and sure enough It's a bit longer, so that's good. Hopefully that bit longer is sufficient. So it looks like it's about that much longer by the looks of it. You can see that? About that much longer by the looks of it, roughly speaking, so whatever that is. Yeah, so, okay, so I think the next bit is to fit it on the bike, and we're going to do it in exactly the reverse process that we did taking this one off. So we're going to actually go and, you know, put this into the clutch mechanism onto that pawl there, and do that first. Roughly adjust this. We're not going to really adjust it too much. Just make sure there's lots of slack. And then we'll put it up on the handlebars. So hey, let's get after it. Okay guys, you know what, before we put the cable on the bike, I've decided we're going to lubricate it a little bit, and the reason being, although it's a brand new cable and it's absolutely perfect, there's nothing wrong with it, I want to hedge against there being any issues with it going forward if it gets moisture in here or what have you. It's just a good practice to do. And I have a little device for doing that, so I just thought I'd show this to you. Now, a lot of you will be familiar with these things, but some of you may not. And if you have, you know, whether it's a bicycle cable, you know, a motorcycle, cables on a motorcycle, whatever you got cables for, this will work with it, which is awesome. So it's very versatile. The other thing, you know, if, you know, not just for lubrication, but for fixing problems, this, you know, cables, maybe you don't want to go and buy another cable or don't want to wait for that. These things are great. Typically, you can free them right up and it works. But also, in this case, we're going to do some preventative maintenance. The way these things work is essentially you put it over top of the cable. It's got a hole in here that you can squirt, you know, your lubricant of choice in. In this case, I'm using white lithium grease. Okay. Yeah, and it just goes on. So essentially, you've got one end of it is blocked off essentially with a slit down the middle. The other is open, okay? And what you do is you just make sure that the blocked end is away from you. You go and you know, put the cable into the slot, just push it on there, okay? Put the cable housing, push that into the unit at this end, and then tighten this up. Tighten it up really, really tight. So, oh, see, this thing's just a little bit out of alignment. I'm just getting this a little bit more aligned. Okay, good. That's good. That's what we want to see right there. And because I've used this quite a bit, it's pretty greasy and pretty oily, so I'm just using a bit of a pliers to kind of get a little tighter than what my fingers could. So when it's on there and you're happy with it, then there's a little hole on the side here, okay, that you can then put your straw into, and I typically do that this way. Then grab your, you know, your lubricant of choice and just have at her. So just making sure that's on there right. Yeah, there we go. Now we're good. Okay, now what we're going to do, I don't know if I can show you this end at the same time, can I? I'll try to. Maybe this will hold it there. Let's see. Maybe that'll work. I want to try to show you that this actually works, and we're going to get some white lithium grease out the end of that cable. Okay, and there you have it. You can see we've got some of the white lithium grease that's gone through that cable. So, you know what, that's good. So now that we've got this entirely lubricated, now what we're going to do is we're going to go and put it on the bike. So let's do that next. Okay, guys, so we're going to go and put the cable in here. And I've already done a little bit of a test fit myself just to give it a go. And one of the things that I noticed is you'll notice that you've got the main stop here, this part of the cable here, but you've also got this bit of it as well. And on this particular cable, that was actually a little bit too thick, or let's just say, actually it's pretty close to the right size, but a little bit thick. So when you get it into the notch, you know, it's riding on this here, this part of it here, as opposed to actually seating down here. So what I did is what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my screwdriver when I put it in there and actually just pop this up. Okay, very simple. I'm just going to come like this and pop it up into place. That's one thing. The other thing I'll mention in terms of fitting this that I've noticed is that if you actually, when you get the cable in, if you just raise this a little bit, you see how that moves just a little bit? There's actually, before it engages the clutch, it's got that much movement. If you just raise this a little bit, it makes getting the getting the cable on a lot easier. So hopefully that helps somebody. I'm going to zoom the camera in a little bit more now so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Okay, let's give this a go here. Hopefully the camera will stay focused for you. So we'll just drop this in. We'll try to do this in one shot. So I'm going to drop it in there. I'm going to grab my my screwdriver and just move this up a little bit, which I find is helpful to get it on, and then slide it in there. Okay, and you see, this is what I meant. You see how it's not riding in the correct spot? I don't know if you guys can quite see that. It's not quite riding in the right spot. So what I'm going to do now is just grab my screwdriver and just pop it in there. See that? Perfect. That's good. That's where you want it. So now that we've got that on there, now we can just, put in our adjuster. Now, obviously, we're not really adjusting anything right here at the moment. We're just kind of, getting it in there roughly. Okay, we're going to do the adjustment here later, but just to get this end of it in. Okay, now that we got this end of it in good enough, now we're going to go and do the lever side. Okay guys, so now we're going to fit the clutch cables. So first off, there's you can do it in a few different orders, but I'm going to do it this way. So grab your adjuster, make sure the adjuster side is fully opened right up, and then stick it onto the cable here. And you should have it completely loosened off at the engine side. When I mean loosened off, I mean have the bolt completely, screwed almost all the way into the case, okay? That'll give you the most slack at this end, so that's what you want to do first. And we're going to put our adjuster on here, onto the cable, and it just, just at the slot there, you just line the two deals up and away you go. Then you can just take your just pull the cable back a little bit and then slide it into the perch. Okay, so that's step number one. Now the next thing, of course, if you are not doing the clutch mod that I had earlier, then of course you would put your cable on and hook it up. But I am doing my clutch mod on this. So I've got an additional step here that you may or may not choose to do. Probably most of you will not do this. Is to actually put a spring on here. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just going to wind that on there. Now, if you haven't seen the clutch mod, check out my other video where I do the clutch mod. And this is for guys that find the clutch lever, a long way from the pedal, or from the handle, and are looking for a solution to that. And that is what this spring does for you. Yeah, it works out really, really great, and it allows you to have the clutch lever much, much closer to the handle without any expense. It's actually very simple. Despite watching me struggle with it here, it's actually very easy. It's what happens when I'm talking and trying to concentrate on what I'm doing at the same time. Okay guys, we've got that spring on there now. Again, that's optional. You don't need to do that. That's just purely for the clutch lever mod. Now what you want to do is go and put your handle on. Of course, I think you guys know how to do that. You've got a notch in there. First of all, you slide it in like this. Make sure that pawl gets in there all the way. Okay, and then put your cable through. I'm using a little nylon washer on the top on mine. You may or may not have that on yours. Good. Now what we need to do is we need to do our clutch adjustments. So what we're going to do now is we're going to unscrew the bolts on the other side, and then we're going to adjust this to get a bit more tension on it. So that's what we're going to do next. I'm just going to spin this out. Get it about where we want it. Yeah, and I'm happy with it right there. So that's excellent. That's excellent. And you'll notice that I've got, for those that haven't seen the other mod, regarding regarding the clutch. You can notice it's way closer to the handle than normal, and this gap is larger than normal. You'll also notice there's no clicking or anything on the clutch side. It just works out perfectly. So it really enables you to get this handle closer in and to operate that clutch, which gives you a lot more, especially for guys like me with smaller hands. It just makes life a lot easier. So anyways, guys, now that we've got the clutch cable on there, I will tighten up the other end because I haven't got the jam nut on there tightened up. But hopefully that helped you see a little bit of how to do that. Now the next thing we need to do is go and put our our turn signal and horn switch on. So that will be the next step. Okay, there's our turn signals. Now, I may adjust these. I'm gonna have to sit on the bike to adjust it. Maybe I've got to turn. Maybe I need to turn this a little bit more down. I'm not too sure, but we basically have it on there, so we're good to go. So now the only last thing to do now is to put the mirrors on. So let's put the mirrors on, and then we got this crazy job done. Okay, so the final thing to finish off the handlebar project is to put some mirrors on the end of the bars. So yeah, we are going to just put these on. These are Kemimoto ones that I picked up off of Amazon. I think it was Amazon that I picked them up off of, and they seem pretty cool. So we'll see. They're kind of small, but I'm not sure if they'll be ideal or not. But they seem very well made. So here's that one. And I think it looks pretty good. What do you guys think? I think it's not too shabby, eh? Not too bad. So I'll put the last one on and we'll see what it looks like. Okay guys, so the final thing is to put the last mirror on. So let's do that now. And there we have it. We've got the new bars on, we've got the mirrors on, the whole bit. Obviously I'm going to have to adjust things a little bit, but I think that is actually looking pretty darn good. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. It's a little bit long, I know, but hopefully you did enjoy it. If you could, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. I could use the subscribers. Please do also like the video and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what I could have done better or differently. I've done a lot of things on here that others have not. The clutch mod being one of them. But in any event, hopefully you enjoyed it, and that's the main deal. So anyways, guys, I hope you have a good one. Enjoy the ride, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now. Hey guys, well, you know what? I have to do a little bit of an epilogue to this video because I made a mistake when I was filming it, and probably many of you caught my mistake. What I did is I went and I put the clutch perch on the wrong side of the switch housing for the turn signals, etc. It should have been, I had them opposite to the way you see them now. The correct way is the way you see them here, with the clutch perch on the very outside, then the switch housing, then of course your grip. So I had that on there wrong, and I found that out later and corrected it. So I just want to let you know, I saw it, and yeah, I fixed it. So anyways guys, please do subscribe. I really appreciate it, and have a good one. Cheers.